Okay, so based off previous videos, I keep messing these videos up. So the last video we were talking about behaviors and emotions. Get my little book back out here. I think I went through most of them before I got cut off. Apparently, if your alarm goes off while you're recording, it shuts your video off. So, not feeling worthy, not feeling loved, feeling as though I'm a source of entertainment, feeling like I was a fraud. My traumas don't matter because basically because I didn't want to like bother you with my problems, which we're gonna get to in a minute. It's my fault that we have to live under pressure, and that's from not doing as well as I could have, not putting my full effort toward things that I could have put my full effort toward, school, education, jobs, being a better person. There's a lot of things that I could have put better effort toward. All these negative emotions led to these negative behaviors, being reckless, acting out. Those things were done through obviously drugs and alcohol, provocative dressing, not showing myself any respect, allowing other people to not show me respect and accepting that behavior. Those were reckless behaviors. Being manipulative, basically like, you know, you're here and you're useful for as long as you're here and you're useful, and then you're not useful anymore. Whenever you're not useful anymore, we'll either manipulate you into feeling like you've got to do what you've got to do to be useful again, or you can be elsewhere. And that's where I become emotionally withdrawn. Once I would be done with somebody, I would be done with them, especially after my husband died. I was very emotionally withdrawn after my husband died. Though we were having our problems that I explained in the previous video, A Hypnotherapy Story, we were having our problems, but that was not how I wanted that to end. And because I think of the guilt and shame that I felt from it, it made me have a hard time accepting anybody else, accepting love from anyone else, accepting anybody else to be there in my path. So I usually pushed people away before I gave myself even a chance to love them back. Fake duplicit behavior. This specifically mentions church. So what I think that I was going with this is, I think I struggled with this a lot in my adult years too, but especially in teenage years. Like I was still going to church for a while. I think that I was still looking for a way to make myself feel like I was being a better person, but realistically, I was struggling. I was leaving church, going to smoke a pot, sometimes smoke a pot before I came to a church. I was drinking. I was telling my mom that I was going to my friend's house and then going somewhere else to go to a party, and then showing back up on Sunday morning and going to Sunday school. Like, not like these lives didn't match up. I think I was trying to force myself to be a good person for as long as I could. And I think I continued that behavior on my adult life, because even whenever I was in my baddest of addictions and really was hurting people, I was still trying to find ways. I would either justify it, because if you know anything about addictions, they go so far that eventually they have to justify their actions in ways that aren't even realistic. But in my last addiction, or in my last relapse, I had a lot of money from the life insurance that I had gotten from my husband dying. And though a lot of it was wasted and spent on drugs and vacations and clothes and other things that I needed to make me feel like I was somebody substantial, even though that's not what makes somebody substantial, I gave a lot of it away. Somebody would call and say, hey, my babysitter would call and say, hey, I can't watch the kids because we're getting evicted from our apartment, or I wasn't able to pay my Wi-Fi bill. And I'd go and I'd pay her rent, or pay her bill, or whatever it is that I need to do. Overly paying people, giving people whatever it is that I could give them, so that It was like my way of making amends, but with the wrong people. So what we had to do is we had to take those old negative behaviors, old negative thoughts and feelings about people, about myself. We flip the page, we're on a new page. Literally did that on purpose. I'm just kidding. New healthy conclusion about self, that I am complete. I am worthy. I am innocent. Not innocent like I never did any things that I did, but that I'm innocent enough that I don't have to use all that stuff that is in my past that I've been using to decipher who I am and what it is that I should have. I can remember one time I said to a friend of mine, I said, we were talking about, I don't know, I was going through the dating game and I was talking to somebody and I said, I don't really know, like, I think that might be out of my league. And she said, what is out of your league? Like, first of all, like, you know, she was trying to be nice. She's like, look at you. Nothing out of your league. And then, you know, also, fuck the past. Like, there's nothing we can do about the past. We cannot change the past. So let me just repeat that again. We cannot change the past. If you know me and you're still judging me on my past, please find something else to do with yourself. If you are still looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, I'm not able to do that because I have this kind of past, please, whoever is putting those things in your mind, omit them from your life, because you are absolutely capable of doing anything that you want. And I think that's what I was doing. I was trying to go ahead and omit people that could be substantial, because I didn't feel like I was worth it. So, and because I felt like my past made me like tainted, just like I did whenever I was in that cave, whenever I was whoever I was and whatever life it was in that cave, I felt tainted by what I had experienced. And I thought that made me feel as though I didn't deserve the love that was sitting outside the door waiting on me. Same thing here. Because of my tainted past, because of the ways that I acted in my addictions, because I ever had addictions, because the life that I lived and the people that I hung out with, all that stuff makes me tainted and makes it so that I don't deserve somebody to appreciate me and to love me for who I am, and that I don't deserve to have a significant job or career. Don't get me wrong, there's still things that I have to pay for. There's still things that I have to pay for because of the things that I did in my last relapse. I still have to answer to people. Apparently I have to answer for them a little while longer because they're going to keep a hold of me a little while longer, but that's okay because it really doesn't affect me. The only thing that affects is whether or not I jump forward in my career anytime sooner or not, and that'll come as it's supposed to. Complete, worthy, innocent. New beginnings. Or behaviors, I'm sorry. New behaviors. Believe more in myself. Let go of shame. And become approachable. What does that mean, become approachable? I'm apparently, I don't know if this comes across on video or not, I'm an intimidating person. I don't know why I'm an intimidating person. I really like people. In moderation. But apparently I'm an intimidating person, is what I have been told, which makes it really hard for people to talk to me. Not in my office. People come in here and they can talk to me without any issue. But something about my presence outside of my office makes me, in some way, for whatever way, people are intimidated. And because of that, I have to find ways to make myself more approachable. The best way that I could do that was be nicer, but this is the beauty of how these things work out. So I told you how I will not accept love and I will not accept people. So there was a point where my last boyfriend, sweet guy, really nice guy, would have done anything for me. It just, I couldn't accept it. I just could not accept it. And whenever that ended, I called my sponsor and I was like, what the hell is wrong with me? Like, what is wrong with me? Why am I absolutely unable to even, accept somebody that was there was nothing wrong with this person. He was a little young, but other than that, there was nothing wrong with this person. What is wrong with me? So, we went on this kind of like mission to, she had me one, I don't know if anybody, you guys know what a 4-step is, but it's very cruel. And I've already done it, but she wanted me to do it with anybody I'd ever had any kind of relationship with. That meant actual relationship, feelings toward, sexual relationship, anything. It didn't take me very long. I think I got through like a couple people and I realized where we were going with this. I chose to stop it. I need to finish it, but at that time I chose to stop it. And there had been a situation that had caused me to have a contact with somebody that normally I wouldn't have had contact with, because at a time they were a client where I had worked at. And I was usually really good about keeping those boundaries, but something stupid came up and we ended up continuing to have communication and contact, and we became friends, and then we would see each other at like a wedding or other events, and it just continued to build on that relationship. I tried to avoid it, and it just was not avoidable anymore. Something pulled me there. And whenever I finally accepted it, it was the most that I've ever felt loved. It was the most that I've ever felt that I was able to be who I am. The weird, the funny, the silly, the emotional, whenever that comes out, because I still struggle with that one. That was something else the hypnotherapist tried to do, was get me to cry, and he couldn't get me to cry. Doesn't mean that I don't cry sometimes, because I do, but it was really hard at that time. He put a whole punching bag on my chest, and we still couldn't relieve that pressure. But I fell in love, which is not something that I really thought was possible for me. And I'm really grateful for it, because what I have now is like this whole little family dynamic. I have, my 2 kids that I had with my husband, but I also have this guy, and I have his kid who's a teenager that I want to like choke sometimes, but he's a really sweet kid. And because he's so involved in things, like it has me involved in things, and it has me involved in things here in this little community where I always felt judged. Like I always felt insignificant, or I always felt like I was less than. These people might still feel like that about me. Really don't care that much anymore. Still do a little bit, but not really much anymore. Because I have happiness. Is everything perfect? Absolutely not. My credit score sucks and I want to buy a house, and I can't because I can't get a fucking mortgage loan. Everything's not perfect. But I'm happy. And I'm only happy because of this hypnotherapy. Because prior to this hypnotherapy, what I was going to do, I'm not going to tell you what I was going to do, but I'm just going to tell you, because I may steal my ideas in case I choose to do it again. But what I was going to do is these big grandiose ideas that would have had me travel in the state of West Virginia constantly, because that's where I live. And there's a lot of untapped communities here. Not enough resources for everything they need. And I wanted to have these big grandiose ideas for the things that I wanted to do to put these things together. And they were great. They're great ideas. And like, I still play with the ideas of doing that, but not to the extent that I planned on doing it, because to the extent that I planned on doing it would have had me completely unavailable. I would have been consumed by work. That would have been my marriage. That would have been my relationship, would have been work, which would have made my relationship with my children struggle, because they would have continued to be on the back burner to my career. I would have felt like I was doing better because I was bringing in money for them and not having them live in the below low income that we grew up in. But that's not gonna, money doesn't make happiness. Let me repeat that. Money does not make happiness. Yeah, it makes things a little more comfortable, but it does not make happiness. What I have now is happiness. And I wouldn't have had that without the hypnotherapy, because what I realized through that session that I had, through that story that I told in the previous video, is that my soul has been going through it. And that's only a couple lives that I looked at, plus the one that I know that I've had this time. My soul has been going through it. Can we give this woman a break? Man, it thing, I don't know what we call the souls because I didn't get that far, but hopefully one day I'll go into the Akashic Records and be able to learn more about that. But we need a break inside of here. We need to feel loved. We need to feel happy. We need to have a whole life inside of here. And if I care at all about myself, then I have to care about what I'm doing to my soul and how I'm going to send it to the next life. So I used to say this a lot when I worked at my last job. The definition of spirituality is to be more concerned with the spirit or soul than with physical or material things. So what that means is that if I am more concerned with what I'm doing to my soul than I am with how much money I make, or what kind of car I drive, or what kind of clothes that I wear, or what brand of shoes that I own, and I'm more concerned with making sure that my soul goes to the next life with peace, then I'm living in spirituality. It doesn't mean that we can't work hard for good things, but you're living a lie if that's your sole priority. So I chose to not do those grandiose things. At the time, I was planning on pursuing education for medical health administration with the plans that I was going to open these big businesses. And that was the only reason I wanted to do medical health administration, is so that I would have the understanding of how to run one of the companies so that I could do the things that I planned on doing. I chose to switch that, one, because I wanted to get certified in hypnotherapy, and I needed something that was going to work with that. So I chose to instead pursue the counseling education. This is a weird way that God works, or whatever you believe in. I finished my undergrad this past summer. Was trying to figure out what I was going to go for my master's for. I was thinking counseling, but basically what I do now is almost counseling. We don't call it counseling. It's actually life coaching, but we don't call it that either. But whenever I realized what life coaching was, I was like, well, that's what I do. Which is why I'm able to add that to my list of services that I have on spiritualfourthdimension.com. Because I already do it. It's figuring out where you want to be. Where do you want to go? And here's little steps that we got to take to get there. Sometimes people need to take them in smaller steps. Sometimes somebody needs to grab your hand and push you into the right direction, guide you into the right direction. I hit the ground running whenever I got sober and chose to figure that stuff out on my own. But that's why I make such a good life coach now, is because I know how to guide people through those things. There's only been one or two situations that I've found so far that I'm like, I don't really know what to do with that. You might need somebody more qualified than me for now, because whenever I chose to apply for my master's program, I applied for Marshall for counseling, and I got an email back saying, we'll let you know if you were accepted, but there's a lot of applicants. Wreckage in my past has caused me to have a lower GPA for my undergrad than I'm proud of. So I didn't really think that I was going to get into it. Doesn't mean that I never thought that I was going to get into it. Maybe later. But as of for right now, I didn't really think that I was going to get into it. So I started looking at what else I could do. And then I started thinking, do I even really want to do counseling? What I don't want to do is sit here person after person after person after person with only have enough time to throw something down my throat and maybe, hit my vape a couple times. I don't want to do that. So I needed to find something else that I might be more interested in. So I also applied through the same school, Marshall University, for my master's in public administration, which would teach me how to do nonprofits, grant writing, program development, things like that. That was my backup. Pretty much told, like, yeah, you'll get accepted into that, not an issue. The issue came when I got accepted into both. And when I called and it was like, hey, what do I do? I was like, they were like, well, I don't know. I guess you'll figure it out. So I did. And I called both advisors and talked to both advisors, and it turns out that I'm very capable of doing both these programs. It might take longer to graduate from each one, but I'm very capable of doing both these programs. And I can still have big plans. I don't have to work whenever I'm done. I don't have to work under a corporation or under a private practice that belongs to somebody else. I can have my own. I can build my own. I can do whatever the fuck I want. I can do 3 clients a day, do hypnotherapy, I can do life coaching, I can have my own little business because I'll have the public administration background to be able to do it. I can write grants on the side. I can do whatever the fuck I want. Because I followed my steps to get wherever I wanted to go. And because I don't have to run now to do it. Because I finally found happiness, and I was finally able to sit back and accept happiness. So, if you're struggling with that, if you're struggling with figuring out how to get there, sometimes it's a spiritual journey, honey. I'll do what I can to help you. Like I said, in the previous video, got probably another month, about halfway through my hypnotherapy courses. I already have them listed as services on the site, and that site still does need, has a few kinks that need to be worked out, but I already have them listed as services. And if you choose to book those services, I will hold off on payments until I am completely done and until we have, you know, the kinks worked out so that we can schedule you appropriately. But life coaching, tarot readings, and hypnosis are available immediately. This is all about behavior change. I just want to help get people there. Yes, I do have to make a profit in the process, but I have tried to make sure that the packages that I offer are going to be a little lower than what you would find elsewhere. Not for competitiveness, mostly because I don't want to break your wallet and your path to spirituality. And hopefully, if we are effective, it won't take a long time. We don't have to do years of talk therapy to get there. We can just 1 or 2 packages, and hopefully we should have the job done. I hope so. Be nice if it was 1, but just don't forget that I'm starting out. But I'm starting out with passion. And I really want to see other people be able to have the same experience that I had, because I really think that it's important. So I just really wanted to finish off from the last video. I didn't want to leave it hanging the way that it was. And I hope everybody has a great day.